As it descended on Westminster earlier this week, Professor Edzard Ernst ignited over the latter's support of homeopathy. Prince Charles has been making impassioned speeches at the World Health Assembly and British Medical Association. However, Professor Ernst, who has previously labelled Prince Charles a snake oil salesman, said homeopathic treatments were immoral and warned that royal backing was very worrying. Professor Ernst said, "You can't have alternative medicine just because Prince Charles likes it, because that is not in the best interest of the patients." Paid content. The quality of the research is not just bad, but dismal. It ignores harms. There is a whole shelf of rubbish being sold, and that is simply unethical. So, what does this homeopathy business actually entail? And does it work? The alternative medical practice of homeopathy is normally said to have been founded in 1796 by German physician Samuel Hahnemann, although some claim that Hahnemann coined the mantra, like cures, like the belief that a substance that causes certain symptoms can also help to remove those symptoms. Hahnemann struck upon this revelation while translating a book. By the book ascribed the usefulness of Peruvian bark in treating malaria due to its supposed astringent and bitter qualities, an explanation Hahnemann disputed, seeing as there were many more substances more astringent and bitter than Peruvian bark that had no effect on treating malaria. To test the hypothesis, Hahnemann consumed an inordinate amount of toxic Peruvian bark, a process in homeopathy called proving, that gave him a high fever and chills similar to malaria. He decided that because the bark gave him, a healthy person, the same symptoms as malaria, it would therefore cancel out the symptoms were he to take it when he had the illness, as munching on a load of Peruvian bark is likely to make anyone sick, malaria or no malaria. Hahnemann had to figure out a way of prescribing low doses without causing everyone to break out into multiplying chills. Here we encounter the second principle of homeopathy. This is how medicines in homeopathy are made, by diluting substances in alcohol or distilled water and then shaking them violently, activating the in the medicine, according to Hahnemann. From this, Hahnemann decreed that the more diluted and weakened a substance was, the more potent it became. Historically, the medical profession has had a hard time grappling with this logic. A physicist at Oxford University wrote in 2012 that Hahnemann's dilution decree was the antithesis of what is observed in nature, where the potency of any solution is proportional to the active ingredient in that substance. At such low amounts it begs the questions whether the treatment merely creates a placebo effect, an opinion that has been suggested by in a 2010 report. The House of Commons Science and Technology Committee said there is no evidence that homeopathy is effective as a treatment for any health condition. Called homeopathy's like cures, like principle, theoretically weak, and said that this is the settled view of medical science. In the same year, hundreds of skeptics held protests outside Boots stores around the country against the pharmacy chain's decision to stock homeopathic products, overdosing on the recommended amounts. No hospitalizations were reported in the aftermath. The British Medical Association calls homeopathy witchcraft, while the NHS says there is no good quality evidence that homeopathy is effective as a treatment for any health condition. There have been trials showing the positive effects of homeopathic regimes in the treatment of hay fever, diarrhea and ear infections among children. Have criticized the homeopathic industry for supposedly cherry-picking facts in order to support their arguments. And while homeopathic treatments are generally seen as harmless, as the mass overdose in 2010 suggested, the concern is that believers in the practice will eschew other scientifically grounded medicines. As such, the recommended course of action for anyone experiencing new symptoms remains a visit to the local GP.